Everybody's favorite climate activist, Greta Thunberg, says it is extremely likely that she is infected with the coronavirus. And I mean this with utmost sincerity. I really do hope or wish for the best. I hope she gets well. I hope it's not serious, and for her family and friends. And beyond that, everybody. I don't want to see anybody hurt by this. I absolutely love criticizing and arguing over economic and environmental policy. I've been very critical of a lot of things she's pointed out. And I will point out she's young and naive, but I absolutely do not want to see anybody with long-term negative effects to their health. So with the utmost sincerity and with all due respect, Greta, I hope you do get better. But I'm sorry. I'm going to now criticize you over the things you have said in terms of the environment, because even if you're sick, even if there is a potential risk to your health, your ideas are not sick. Well, I mean, some people might think they are, but I mean, your ideas are there and they're there to be argued with, and we will do that. Greta Thunberg revealed on Tuesday it's extremely likely she had COVID-19. Thunberg broke the news on Instagram to her 10 million followers, saying she and her father began to feel ill around March 14th after returning from a trip to Brussels. Now, one of the things she said is that this proves she was right about how the world can mass mobilize when it's facing a true crisis. Perhaps that means something you don't realize. Greta looks at how we've shut the economy down, and she's not really bringing it up, but check this out. Traffic and pollution plummet as U.S. cities shut down coronavirus. A lot of people have pointed this out, saying, why won't Greta Thunberg point out all the good things that are happening now? I don't think you realize this is what she was talking about. She was actually talking about shutting down economies so that this would happen. I do not believe, well, I think it's fair to say that it's true. Governments can mass mobilize to a crisis. And she points this out, but I think there's kind of a whoosh phenomenon, whoosh right over the head. Perhaps that's because it's not a crisis. I think global warming is a serious threat, but is it an existential threat on the level of, the coronavirus? No, the coronavirus could kill millions of people. When it comes to climate change, we have speculation and probabilities. We know, according to the scientists, that it will be bad for us in the long run. But as much as the doomsayers have tried to scream 12 years until the end is here, they've been saying that every 10 years. So no, that's not the case. There will be a change to the economy, to climates, to living standards. There could be bad, consequences to climate change, but it's dramatically different. And maybe she missed this one. But perhaps nobody cares about climate change because it's not that pressing of an issue. The symptoms the teenage climate change activist experienced included a sore throat, fatigue, shivers, and a cough. In Sweden, you cannot test yourself for COVID-19 unless you're in need of emergent medical treatment. Whoa, hold on. Why is everybody ragging on the American healthcare system? It's the same thing. You can't just go and get a test. Same thing in Sweden. Wait a minute. So she says, everyone feeling ill are told to stay at home and isolate themselves, Thunberg said in an Instagram post. I have therefore not been tested for COVID-19, but it's extremely likely that I have it, given the combined symptoms and circumstances. So, look, I don't think it's that important to talk about her potentially being sick too much. But one of the quotes she did have was that it's proof of, the global organization. So I want to make a few points about what she's called for in the past. And the story we're seeing now from the New York Times is that things are actually getting better. But Greta Thunberg called for a complete suspension of the use of fossil fuels. This is literally what she wanted. She's getting it. So I don't think you necessarily need to criticize her when we're doing what she said we should do. I mean, for a different reason. But people are saying, why won't she point it out? Let's read this story from the New York Times, see exactly what's going on, and we'll talk about fossil fuels and why it doesn't work. Before we do, however, I have a rare shout out to one of the great sponsors of my channel, Virtual Shield. Let me level with all of you, man. We are in trying times right now. Everybody's taken a major hit due to the economy. And Virtual Shield is my first sponsor. They've always been there for me, and I'm eternally grateful. So if you want to get a VPN, this is a virtual private network. It can help keep your data safe as you browse the web from hackers, from low-grade government spies or corporate espionage or whatever it is you might be afraid of. It's a simple layer of protection. Go to hidewithtim.com, and they have March Madness time, 30% off. It's just $3.49 per month to get this virtual private network. There's a lot of things VPNs can do for you. If you don't want people to know where you're coming from, it can change. It basically changes your IP address. So people won't necessarily know where you are. And it makes it harder for them to figure out who you are. and it's harder for them to break into your system. But I'll keep it simple. Nothing is perfect, but I always put it this way. Do you expect anyone to break into your house? No, not really, but you do lock your doors and windows, and typically never, we never have to deal with anything like that. That's how I view VPN. So my eternal gratitude to Virtual Shield for helping keep my channel going at this time when we've got serious economic considerations. And I hope you all consider, if you need a VPN, Virtual Shield is available, hidewithtim.com. Let's get back to the story. So the New York Times notes, in cities across the U.S., traffic on roads and highways has fallen dramatically over the past week as the coronavirus outbreak forces people to stay at home and everyday life grinds to a halt. A satellite that detects emissions in the atmosphere linked to cars and trucks shows huge declines in pollution over major metropolitan areas, including L.A., Seattle, New York, Chicago, and Atlanta. I mean, this is it correlates with the drop in economic activity, which is really, really fascinating. In Los Angeles, as businesses and schools have closed this month and drivers have stayed off the roads, air pollution has declined and traffic jams have all but vanished. Preliminary data from the European Space Agency's Sentinel-5P satellite show that atmospheric levels of nitrogen dioxide, which are influenced in large part by car and truck emissions, were considerably lower over LA in the first 2 weeks of March compared to the same period last year. The car-dependent city normally features some of the highest smog levels in the country. Look at these empty roads. This is amazing. I don't know how many of you have ever been to LA or lived there. These roads this empty, that's remarkable. The Los Angeles famous rush hour congestion has virtually disappeared. On Wednesday at 8 a.m., traffic in the city was moving 53% faster than it usually does on a Wednesday morning, according to data from INRIX, a company that analyzes traffic data from vehicle and phone navigation systems. At 5 p.m., when the freeways are typically congested, traffic was moving 71% faster than usual. That is amazing. Check this out. Traffic speeds along Interstate 110 in LA were much faster than usual. So I'll give that shout out to Greta, because what she said in her op-ed, well, she wrote an op-ed that was basically loaded with intersectionality, ending colonialism and patriarchy. It makes no sense. But she said, we will not wait till 2021. She says, we don't want to wait till 2050 or 2030 or even 2021. Fossil fuel use must be stopped right now. Do you have any idea what's going on right now with the economy? We are facing a global economic catastrophe. We are in the midst of it. People are going to go without food, medicine, shelter. Things are going to get bad. We're living off of our savings, our figurative savings. It's only going to last so long. Look at what's going on to make the environmental changes that are happening right now, and you'll realize just how horrifying things would truly be if we wanted to implement Greta Thunberg's policy proposals. So she's getting what she wants, but it's terrifyingly evil, I guess. The challenge is, we as humans are cursed with the knowledge of our own demise. Yeast, for instance, in a bottle of beer or in a bread is eating away at sugars and growing and toxifying its own environment. Well, and then we consume it, but that's a different point. Eventually, the resources run out. They're finite. You toxify your environment. You cease to exist. We know it's happening. But what's the challenge? What do we do? Do we let humans die? Do we put weird restrictions on what humans can or can't do and then suffer under the weight of harsh consumption restrictions? I honestly don't know. In order to get to the point where we've dramatically reduced these emissions, you can see Seattle almost erasing their emissions, we have to undergo a dramatic collapse to our way of life that is threatening people's lives. I don't know how we rectify this problem, because certainly, you know what? I'm gonna go somewhere dangerous with this. You know what we do when animals overpopulate? It's called a culling. Humans can't do that. It is a moral absolute, essentially. We cannot as humans. So perhaps there needs to be some kind of collective understanding, of conservation, protecting our environment, and maintaining levels that are harmonious. I don't know how to do it. How do you tell someone they're not allowed to have kids? You can't do that either. I guess the only thing I can really say is, let me wrap this up. What we're seeing right now to reduce emissions is horrifying. And I don't think there's a solution that we could implement to get this done. We're doing it because it's an emergency and we're getting a glimpse of it. Perhaps the answer is interstellar travel. Perhaps we need to start colonizing other worlds and expanding beyond just this one. Elon Musk is working on it. I like to remain optimistic, but I'll tell you this. The point I was trying to make earlier is that there are rules. Nobody wants to see a bunch of humans hurt or killed or any kind of genocide or anything like that. We don't like the idea of telling people they can't have kids. These things are all terrifying. We know what our rules are. We know what our moral limits are, and we know what our moral obligations are. And that means our way out does not involve shutting down the use of fossil fuels right now, immediately. I mean, we can evolve beyond this with new technology. Because the reason we won't do that is it would result in people dying. They need this for food. They need it for heating their homes. But perhaps the direct solution we can see right now, and maybe it won't be the solution, is getting off this planet. Getting off this planet, maybe going to Mars, maybe even sending out long-term sustainable biodome vessels or something. Maybe we need to discover ways to put humans in suspended animation. But I can tell you this. I believe in environmentalism. I believe Greta Thunberg is misguided or dangerous. She's kind of like a little Thanos, you know? We got to take these dramatic changes. It's exactly what Thanos wanted to do. It's the villain from Marvel. There's not enough resources to go around, so half the people got to go. Well, we can't do that. So we got to figure out a better way to do things. But I do think it's absolutely fascinating now that we're seeing this reduction in pollution. It is absolutely incredible. New York, what are you doing? New York only reduced. I mean, New York reduced a lot, but it doesn't look like all that much. But I'll leave it there. And I'll end by saying I do really, really mean this. I hope Greta is not too sick. I hope she gets better. I hope her family gets better. I wish her the best. And I look forward to seeing her engaging in more activism that we can argue about. I don't think it's fair to say anybody has all the answers, which means we need as many ideas as possible so that we can yell at each other and figure out what idea works and what doesn't. And that goes for Greta. As much as I disagree, I wish her the best, and I hope she gets better. And I hope all of you recognize why it's important that her health recovers too. I'll leave it there. I'll see you all tomorrow at 10 a.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out.